And we're going to go straight on to the business news for you now on the programme. And shares in Asia, they kind of started positive in reaction to the final signing of at least that holding trading deal between the US and China. Things have dipped a little back since then, as you can see across the board. Just very slight rises, largest one on the Caspian Seoul, but a dip there, as you can see, on the Shanghai Composite. Now, of course, it's just an interim deal with so much work to actually get to a real permanent deal still to come. A lot of scepticism, perhaps, over the long-term prospect for resolving some of those key issues. Well, a little earlier, we spoke to Stephen Innes, head market strategist for AxiTrader, and it was put to him that Trump is claiming this as a victory.
It's definitely a political victory. I think Beijing gets the trade comms, something that they really wanted. I think this allows them to get back on the economic wagon again. I think all things are good. I think despite some negative spin doctoring this morning, it's hard to argue that this deal is a significant step in ending the frictions that have cast a dark cloud on global growth markets this year. So we're a bit optimistic, but of course, we're waiting for the data to prove that the proof is in the pudding. So we're going to be closely monitoring that economic data that comes out over the next few months.
Stephen Innes there, talking to us a little bit earlier on the programme. Well, earlier then, as the trade deal was signed, well, Donald Trump said of China, they were not doing things that they were supposed to be, but that's OK, because now they will. Usual diplomacy, perhaps, then, from Trump as he spoke in front of his Chinese guests. Sam Bradpeace has this report.
It is a deal that will reduce the trade tensions which have slowed down global growth, hurt American manufacturers and weighed heavily on the Chinese economy. Donald Trump marked the signing in a typically triumphant style.
This is an unbelievable deal for the United States, and ultimately it's a great deal for both countries, and it's going to also lead to even a more stable peace throughout the world.
A sentiment echoed by the Chinese vice premier.
It's good for China, for the US and the world. It's a mutually beneficial and win-win agreement.
The US government began a trade war with China in July 2018, imposing huge tariffs on Chinese imports. But phase one of this deal paves the way for increased trade. It will see China dramatically increase its purchase of American goods and services by $200 billion over the next 2 years. It also sees the US drop plans for new tariffs and cut existing ones in half. The agreement includes provisions that will make it easier for US companies to do business in China and has seen China commit to better protecting intellectual property, avoiding forced tech transfer and refraining from currency manipulation. The 86-page agreement does not, however, address the issue of Chinese state subsidies, a policy that the US administration considers unfair economic practice and used as justification for starting the trade war in the first place. The elimination of these subsidies may be a key US objective in phase two of the negotiations, which are not expected to conclude until after the US presidential elections in November this year.
Sam Bradpeace reporting there, finishing off today's business news.